All right, we got a 2013 Nissan Sentra, and this is an SL. And we're going to be putting some struts on this thing, and I've got it right at the point where I think I need to take a video and let folks know what's going down. All right, so the windshield wipers have to come off because there's a bolt right there that you need to get to, okay? Windshield wipers are very easy to take off. I think it's got a 14 millimeter. The short one goes on the driver's side, so just keep track of that. Don't clean the windshield before you do it, and you will have a nice little impression in the glass where the dirt is, where your windshield sat before. If that doesn't work for you, get a Sharpie and put a line there. So there's many ways to keep track of all this, so just make sure and keep track of where they were, okay? Just pop all these little plastic push pins out. Half of them will probably break, so keep some of those or get ready to replace some of them. Okay, so before I drop this little guy, I want to catch everybody up. Now, these struts have the brake line connected to it and the ABS sensor connected to it. I'm not popping the CV axle because I've got enough room. I've put this piece of cardboard here to keep my CV axle boot from getting damaged, okay? These CV axle boots are in great shape. Let's keep them that way. The sway bar end link bolts on up here. Now, this one came out very easily. Sometimes they don't. It's an 18 millimeter. I took it out with an impact. It buzzed right off, no problem. Sometimes they spin. And you'll have to get a box end or open end wrench and hold the nut and turn that little doodad on the inside. And I even think this has got like a, let's see, what is that? Is that a hex? It's got lots of dirt in there. Sometimes they put a funny size, so you just have to keep track of that. When it goes back together, I will find out how this thing here is going to curse me, because sometimes they spin and it's a big problem. Now this one here has a shoulder on it here. It has a shoulder, so, and there's a shoulder with a couple of flat sides on it that you could put a wrench or some vice grips or whatever. Now the tie rod end is about the same thing. It's got a locking nut on there with no cotter key, and it has a star style, not a hex style, but a star style female placed to put a tool there in case it spins out. You'll have to use that tool to do that. Now, when that happens to me, there's different ways. You could push this into the spindle here, okay? And if you put enough pressure on this up into that spindle, it will hold it tight enough for you to turn that nut. So if that's the case and you get to that point, you can deal with that with some vice grips. You can put a small jack under it and put a little pressure on it. It doesn't take much pressure. I've done it before. So when you're doing this by yourself, you're going to take those 3 bolts out of the top, and this thing is going to fall down. So take 2 out, put the 3rd one loose, and reach around with your hand and hold this thing, because it's going to fly out. It's going to come down here and chop your end of your toe off. So be careful with that. Now I'm going to get this to the next spot. I'm trying to do as short and as quick of a video as possible, okay? Alright, so you get that little guy out and you compare apples for apples before you scratch up the brand new one. You know, you want to get it over here and make sure that things line up. Now it's going to be a little different. It's not going to be perfect, okay? But that's it. Now, on the top of these, it has a indicator on the top. Right there. This is the left side. This is the driver's side. The left is the driver's side. So that one is left. It comes with new bolts. Don't torque the heck out of these bolts. These bolts maybe get 25, 30 foot-pounds at the most. Okay, you'll blow them out. Alright, so I just got that thing hanging here, and you can see that this wire is a little bit in the way, and that's alright. With it just hanging here, I have a little bit of give, and I can get that thing started with my fingers. That's what you want. Start it with your fingers. Do not run these in there. These don't have an alignment pin on the front of them to help you line them up. And this one down here is kind of hard to get to. See if I can get it with my left hand. I'm gonna have to use 2 hands because I need to hold this thing steady with the other hand. Okay, so that's kind of what it looks like. Now this is how that thing showed up, and I'm gonna have to turn it. So after I get the bolts put in there, I'll turn it. Looks like it needs 90 degrees. Usually they come lined up pretty close, so I'm kind of surprised about that. We'll have to take a glance at it, because there's only one way that it goes in. The bolts at the top are keyed for a certain position. So if that's the case, just put them in, put the bolts in, and get this guy and get a long tool or something and turn it. And it's not that big of a deal. These are designed to turn. Obviously, they connect to the spindle and turn the car all the time, but I don't know why they didn't put them clocked the right way to begin with. So let's get it to the next step. Okay, so I clocked that thing, and it's no big deal. I got a pry bar and clocked it to the right spot. I'm gonna finish putting this thing together, and that is gonna be the extent of my notes and outline of doing this. If you can get yourself this far, you can handle the rest of it. Y'all have a good day.